a VCR recording N1702 dual speed. Hello and welcome to another MrBetaByte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we're looking at a Philips N1702 VCR formats, video cassette recording formats, and as you can see it's actually working, but we've got a fair bit to do on it. I do want to change the belts. I think it has had a fairly recent belt change, but we do have some unsteadiness, so let me just capture a little bit of the playback. It's actually very, very good, considering. And yeah, it's it has got the dual speed, which is a bit of a contentious issue when it comes to these machines, that there is no way you can play an N1500 cassette on an N1700, and this one hopefully will prove that you can. I've not modded this one. The previous owner, I think it was the previous owner, Rich, actually did it. Hi Rich, hope all's well with you. I actually got this machine off him quite some time ago, and yeah, as long as 8 is down, it's a standard 1700. If you press one of the others, it'll slow it down, and yeah, you can see there it's struggling to get lock now. And go back to 8, and it will eventually pick up to 1700 speed. You also probably have noticed the clock is not great. I think it's not ticking. I think the actual clock for the clock is not actually running. Sometimes I get just a load of zeros, sometimes it's blank. I was sort of playing with it and I managed to get a digit up, but it's just like there's no actual clock for the clock chip. So after recording the last segment, I actually ran the cassette that I had in there almost to the end, and then it just stopped, and yeah, this is what it's doing. And you can sort of hear the head drum, possibly hear it. And I don't know whether you could quite make out the head drum sound, but as it goes to lace, you can hear the tone of the drum drop. And if you remember when we looked at Tim's 1700, that was doing the same thing. That was down to the belt that was slipping. It had stretched during play, and that would also sort of tie in quite nicely with the weird servo issue I was getting with the head drum. So yeah, now this, I think I mentioned before, this is supposed to have had belts fairly recently. By that, probably in the last 5 years. Only a guess, don't quote me on that. But yeah, in the last 5 years. And I wonder, I mean, I bought these belts from eBay, from Phono Hi-Fi Shop, Germany, and I wonder how long these are actually lasting and how good they are, because I mean, it's not like it's potentially had a huge amount of use, but these belts don't seem to be maybe lasting as well as I'd like. But anyway, we'll change. I've got 2 sets, so I'll change them, and we'll take it from there. See what we can do. So yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so let's get the bottom off. And then open up the panel. Oh, there's been a bit of work done on here. Quite a bit of work. It's interesting. Yeah, it looks like it's had quite a bit of power supply issues at some point. Does this lock? Don't think it does. That'll do. Should just keep it out of the way. Okay, so interestingly, oh gosh, the belt is terrible. Oh, the belt's actually, oh gosh, completely jammed up and come off. So yeah, that's not great. So let's slacken this off. Because that's gone where it's gone, I might actually have to lift this out. We'll see. I'm almost tempted, because we know the belt's had it, to snip it and pull it out. Yeah, I mean, if that's a changed belt, then yeah, that's not. It's sort of, it's just lost its elasticity pretty much. Okay, so do the capstan belt next. And I seem to remember I have to take this whole thing off because of just what it is. And just getting to, because obviously, well, I don't know whether they give you the counterbelt, to be honest. I don't think they do, from memory. Okay, so let's lift that off. And pick up head there. So basically an audio head. That belt actually seems okay. And let's go to one side for now. And that tension belt. Yeah, it's seen some life. That mounts okay. So let's have a look at these belts. Okay, so we've got head belt, capstan belts, then we've got two more, so we've got brake belt, and then that looks like a counter belt. So okay, it's sort of given two belts the same size. It's interesting. So that's the counter belt, which is quite a bit smaller than, quite a bit bigger, sorry, than the actual belts they've supplied. I'm going to suggest the bigger one is the one we use for the counter, and this is the one for the brake. Let's just compare. Obviously the brake one's going to be fairly stretched. I would suggest that this belt, the actual longer one, is the one I should be using. So okay, well, let's do that. So if I get it in the right place. tight. Yeah. Okay, let's try this other belt then. On the counter. So this, which you can't actually see, there's a window that you can feed this through and hopefully get it on the pulley. Which I managed to do. Yeah, so that does feel like the right belt, to be fair. Being thinner, and it just seems to be right. Got no crossing over, which is good. So now the fun begins. And it's a bit like Lucky Dip doing it this way, but actually what I seem to remember I do is I take out the brushes, which I believe for stability, belt stability. So that's it. It doesn't seem terribly tight, although, well, that's on. I can hear the motor. And then this one. Okay, so I'm just going to release 2 of the 3 screws. I think I only undid 2, or showed me undoing 2 of these before. So apologies for that. There is one behind this board here, which I think I always forget anyway. So stacking that right off. Might have to take them out altogether, but you don't have to take the whole lot off. It just depends how lucky we are with the belt. I think this might have to come out a bit more because the bell won't drop down. Escaping screwdriver. Think that might be on. Yeah, that's on. So I'm going to spin that too much because I'm going to knock it back off again. I think we're okay there. seem to have a bit of an attitude and wanting to come off, but anyway, we'll see. It apparently is right. Magic. So I will drop this back down. I think we've done everything now. So I'll close this board, drop the machine back down flat, and we should be able to give it a try and see if that's sorted it all out. So let's crack on. One quick thing that's a bit interesting is the way this has the option of the hardwired mains cable, but also has the figure of 8 connector. So it's obviously quite interesting. I just wonder what the thought process was to making that decision as to what the machine was going to come with. But yeah, anyway, let's crack on. Okay, so here it goes. Let's power it back on. And yeah, there we go. I mean, that belt was well and truly had it, wasn't it? So yeah, so I'm going to run this for a while now, just with the tape in, and then we will have a quick look at the tape speed change and give that a test as well. Try a N1500 cassette in it. We already know the 1700 works, maybe jump then. So yeah, and just work out exactly what is going on here. It's interesting that this goes onto a pin that's otherwise not connected via print. So yeah, I'm gonna have to delve into the circuit diagram and the service manual to really work it out, which I probably won't do in this video because we've got another couple of these, or at least one more machine that has the same modification, so we can look at that as well. But yeah, definitely very interesting module there as well, which I don't think I've seen on these machines before. But yeah, anyway, I'll give this a run and then we'll take it from there. Let's crack on. Okay, well, I just rewound the N1700 cassette and thought I'd test the N1500 cassette. And well, you can see the results. I mean, the sound appears to be correct, but it's no picture. And I've just tried my other N1500 cassette, and there's no picture on that either. So I think what I'm going to do is I have got an N1500 machine. I just need to dig it out, and we'll spend a bit of time looking at this dual speed with the other machine I have, because this one's needs to go anyway. But yeah, it's sort of what I'd expect. I'd expect it to be all messy and all over the place, because the head chip azimuth is different on between 1500 and 1700, and also it's not half speed 1700, so not quite, although obviously that can be compensated for. You're not dividing it by 2, exactly by 2, to get 1700. So on the other hand, although the tilt of the head chips is different, I still would expect something, not just a total mess. So I do wonder if these tapes are bad. But like I say, if I dig out my N1500 machine and we give them a test on that, then that'll decide it for sure. Yeah, I think somewhere I've got another tape, so I might just have a dig around and see if I can find that. One thing I noticed, this wiring really needs sorting out, so I'm going to crack open the heat shrink and just resolder these and put a bit of insulation on some of these. I mean, that one is so close to like there, which wouldn't matter, but it's just, it just looks awful, and potentially is an accident just waiting to happen. So I'll get that sorted, and then we'll do some more on the dual speed. I'm still a little bit apprehensive about using it and how it actually works, what it's actually doing, but yeah, let's crack on. That's a lot better. Let's crack on. So I've had a look at the clock quickly. It appears to be a logic gate. There's two different types of, well, it's three different types of clock used. Two use 50-60 Hertz as the clock frequency from the mains, and one actually uses a logic chip arrangement and a capacitor, I think. And this has the logic chip and the capacitor, and it looks like the logic chip has failed, so it's just locked basically. But George isn't worried about that, so I'm not going to worry about it. That's fine. I'm sure we'll have another. The clocks seem to be getting quite unreliable on these. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised it's actually the clock chip itself, but doing a very quick check, it looks like the logic. It's AND gate, series of, I think, 4 AND gates off the top of my head, and one of them, well, the one that's in charge of the frequency for the clock is bad. So yeah, there we go. So dual speed. I think I was getting muddled. When this is out, it's N1700, so it's just a standard N1700. When this is pressed in, that speeds the tape up to N1500 speed, and that's what I was playing back. Actually, I'm pretty sure. I need to check again because I've confused myself. But it's actually really simple what it's doing. Basically, it's using number 8 because number 8 is the only channel button. So the double pole, double throw. All the rest have both sides of the switch used, but number 8 doesn't. It's only the one side. This side isn't used for anything. So what's been done is, this is the N1700, this resistor here, which is 1.4 meg ohm, 1%. So it must be very critical. Sort of makes sense that probably it would be. And then this one is a 620 k ohm for the N1500 speed. And basically what you're doing is you're grounding with the switch pin 9 on the tape servo, and you see pin 9 actually isn't used. So I can't find a schematic for the module, so I don't actually know what this is doing, but I will reverse engineer this. Don't know whether it'll be in this video using the other machine because this one's going, or whether I'll do it in a separate video, but we'll see. So basically the ground is the red wire. It's not very logical. Is the red wire here, and then the resistance across, whether it be 1.4 meg ohm for N1700 or 620 k ohm for 1500, that sets it. And then I'm guessing you have to then adjust the servo to suit, because otherwise why wouldn't you just put 620 across there for N1500 and open circuit for 1700? So I'm guessing there is more to it than just putting those resistors in, but I'll have to work that out. Now, the only thing that's slightly concerning me is I went through a series of cassettes last night, and only one would play back, and that was a 1500 one. So I don't know if I've got bad cassettes, because I don't know the cassettes. They're an unknown quantity. But Colin, over Video 99 co.uk channel, thank you very much, Colin, sent me a whole load of cassettes, and I know they have something on them, and I'm pretty confident they're N1700, but at the moment they're not playing back, so I don't know what that's all about. So I'm going to have to investigate that, and yeah, but I know the machine is capable of working. I know the heads are good. N1500 is working, so interesting. But yeah, I'm sort of intrigued to see what this is doing. This is obviously biasing something to effectively ramp the speed up for 1500. But yeah, I'd be very intrigued to sort of work that all out and just follow it through on a module. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to get this back on. I've been cleaning and greasing. I greased up a few bits and pieces. Cleaned the whole tape path. Cleaned this. This is critical. It needs to be spotlessly clean. And the capstan as well, which was quite stained. So yeah, but that's fine. It took a lot of cleaning to get that going. Cleaned the pinch roll. It's a little bit shiny, but it's fine. So yeah, I'll get this back together and I suppose give it a test. Okay, so the top trim is all back together. So I missed a screw there. Put that in a minute. But don't forget this one on the record button side of things, especially when you take it off, because it feels like, oh, this should be a clip or something. No, it's not. So yeah, I've got to just put in those last two screws and put the carriage back on, so we should be good to go. Okay, so had it working brilliantly both on N1500 and N1700 tapes. Absolutely great. Had to adjust the tracking a bit for 1500, which is only to be expected, to be fair, but yeah, worked a dream. So I'm really pleased. That's a good sort of fix, come workaround, whatever, to playing both formats on a 1700 machine. But I cleaned the tape path, and I really did clean it. The upper drum was so filthy. And the lower drum as well, to be fair. And since doing that, I've found that the tape is now riding up the drum. And with these, I mean, obviously you've got the entry guides here. That's the auto stop for the end of the tape. A bit of foil grounds this post here to put it in stop. But you've got these two guides here. You can see somebody's already adjusted these. Yeah, basically as the tape's going round the tape path, obviously it's coming around here, it's riding up, and that's because it is super shiny. I'm sort of amazed. I do wonder if the heads have been changed at some point, to be honest, because the heads are very, very good, but the lower drum is quite shiny. So what I'm going to do is sort of last chance saloon, I suppose. I need to get some of that shininess off and give it a little bit of an air cushion again. So I'm going to try the same technique that I use with the drums on a beta machine. That's with the Scotch-Brite, bit of Brasso after that, and then a good clean with isopropyl, and just see if we can sort of reduce the friction, and hopefully that will do the trick. But obviously I'm going to have to take the heads off, the head drum off. So yeah, let's crack on and get that sorted. Okay, so I've tied the belt up, just in the slight hope that it doesn't come off the pulley for the motor. Just makes life a little bit easier on reassembly. I've actually used one of my wife's hair ties. It's an unused one straight from the packet. So yeah, so 2 Allen screws, 2mm Allen key, and there is actually a little bit of free play there, so I was going to try and use feeler gauges, but I can't actually get into the gap, so we'll just have to make that up as we go along. I mean, ultimately it will be sitting horizontally, so gravity will sort that, but obviously there's got to be a little bit of a sort of end float then, if you like. So undo the 2, pull that off, and you see there's a little indentation there where that screws into or mounts to, and then we just pull this through and pull that out, and there we have it. So yeah, you can see the underneath of the drum there and the head chips, so put those somewhere safe. Just put them over there for now, and all the electronics inside. PCB rotary transformer, which is quite cool, but the glorified tape head also looks like an erase head for the magnetic pickup for the head drum. So should be able to see the magnet. Yeah, there's the magnet there by that blue mark. So yeah, so I'm going to put this one out of the way now, and yeah, so we'll crack on and get that resurfaced and see how we get on. Okay, well that's done. Really fiddly to get behind the guides, but I've managed it. I mean, I only have to come really to the beginning of where that section there is, the bottom of the guide section. I've gone a little bit further, but that's fine. And yeah, so far so good. So let's put head disc back on. There was a little burr, I don't know whether you noticed, I sort of did just take off with a bit of the Scotch-Brite, a bit of a rub on the top there, and there's a tiny burr, and obviously not enough to catch the heads, but yeah, I'd rather not. So yeah, and it wasn't in the tape path, but obviously, yeah, I don't really want it there. So yeah, let's just tip this up and get the bottom firewall put back on. Okay, so I'm actually tempted just to give that a bit of a clean up. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. Just very gently just clean that up, and just give that a little bit of a tighten. feels about right. I mean, I have to translate the manual. I'm sure there was a UK English style manual for one of these, but I've never seen one. I thought I had one actually, but no, I don't. Okay. Now I have to say, these were quite loose when I took them out, which does suggest this has had new heads at some point. So let's see if my cunning plan worked. I'm sure I've done this before, but I don't think I've done it on a video, on a YouTube video. But yeah, it just saves. There we go. Just saves having to play about with that that belt. Okay, so super. So I suppose we ought to give it a try. Let's crack on. Okay, so still working on the other machine. Still no idea what happened with that tape path on the 1702, but like I say, we will look at that again. But I have lifted the board out. Normally something I wouldn't actually do, but I wanted to really investigate what is going on with the dual speed. So you can see I've removed the tape servo module. I did double check the board numbers, and they are identical between the 1700 and the 1702. So that's a good start. Can't see any modifications on there other than pin 9 and then ground for the switching. But when we look at the modules, this is a one for the 1702. Both the same part numbers, so they're identical, but this has been modified, and it sort of makes sense now what's going on, a bit more anyway. The problem is I haven't got any data on the modules themselves. There's nothing in the service manual. I have somewhere got the data sheet for the chip, and indeed I've got chips, the replacement chips for both this and the head servo modules. I've got a whole load of these modules that are faulty, and I'm going to get them up and running and get them working basically, which again will be in a future video, to see what else is wrong. I suspect it won't just be the chips, but you know, got a few transistors, and I don't think there are any caps on this. The head drum motor I think does have caps. I think it has 2, but these don't have any electrolytics. I mean, obviously it's got capacitors, but no electrolytics. So yeah, so on the unmodified module, got this brown wire that goes up to here, and on this one that has been removed. So, and it's been removed and looped round to where that resistor goes, and it's the sort of pin nearest the transistor where that brown wire goes, and that resistor's missing. Now that resistor is actually now on that switch. You can just see it there. It's the lower one of the, got the blue one on the top, and then the greenish looking one underneath. So yeah, basically you're taking that resistor out and then putting it back in on that switch, and then putting the other value, which, I mean, it's interesting because it looks like another resistor has been taken from somewhere, but I can't see where. I think it's just been taken from another, maybe a scrap deck or something. Maybe from even from a 1502. But yeah, you've got the 620 K one for the N1500, and then 1.4 meg for the N1700. So yeah, and that's basically it. That's all there is to it, to modifying it, I think. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to modify this one to be the same as this, and we'll give it a try. Like I say, at the moment there's no switching at all, which you'd expect. I didn't think it was going to be as simple as that. So pin 9 is actually that pin there. So even though it's not used on the deck, it is used, it is there for a connection for whatever reason. I mean, maybe there was a thought to have dual speed. Maybe, I don't know. It's quite interesting. I mean, that actually goes to where is it? It actually goes to that brown wire. So yeah, ordinarily that brown wire doesn't actually do anything. It's not used, so it's recycling that wire, that unused wire. It must be for testing, some description, I would say. Sure, it'll say in the manual, which I'm still sort of trying to work my way through, because it's Dutch, I think, in Dutch. And yeah, so that now becomes one part of the speed change, and then you're just changing the value of that resistor to change the servo running speed, basically, because it's still picking up sync pulses. So yeah, I mean, it must be, because you can see it fluctuates from when you're playing the tape. So yeah, that's really cool. So I'll do the modification, and we'll give it a test. So it's literally take that resistor out there and then put the brown wire to there, and that's it, I think. Yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so hopefully I've got the right one. You can see there I've desoldered the resistor. There's no screen print, there's no resistor numbers, nothing on this. So it is literally, it just doesn't help. There we go. So that's that resistor out. Then this goes in where you took that out. Let's get it so it's the right way. Goes in the first of the two holes. I'll say the first, it's the one closest to where the wire comes from. So you can see the other hole there on this side. Goes in there. I'm doing this assuming this is going to work. But I'm keeping the faith, because I can't see there's anything else going on. Okay, so let's lower this down, being careful of that wire. And just a little plastic peg. I'm going to try and source some plastic replacements for this. I'm not going to get anything like this, but just some large press plastic studs, I think. Because I've got I've got a couple of machines that are missing them, and it does help sort of keep the board properly aligned for the switches. So yeah, and I don't know whether you realised, but these here, this isn't an afterthought or something gone wrong. You actually break these off, and they'll lock onto the shoulders of the switches to keep them engaged with the lid up. So you can break these off. In fact, the one actually does have one of them missing, but yeah, you just sort of put it into the push the button in, push that into there, and it sort of locks onto the shoulder, keeping them depressed. So yeah, it's quite cool. just managed to fix my only N1500 half decent cassette, and what was going on, but right at the end seems to be all damaged, and my only half decent N17 cassette is 1700 cassette is also well and truly damaged now, because that machine was actually physically breaking or damaging the tape. So screen grabs are not going to be great, but yeah, we'll see. I've not tried the N1500 yet, but the N1700 seemed to be working fine, other than you could see the damage as it was playing, sort of lines just sort of appearing every so often. But yeah, I'll let this rewind, and we'll take it from there. It seems to be rewinding well. So that's the N1500 tape playing. So I put the tracking right up. It does track okay. Well, that's not so bad. It actually tracks about the same. It takes a little bit to lock. But yeah, and this, I mean, this tape is so damaged as well, but it's, I mean, yeah, that's not too bad. But yeah, it's a little bit wobbly, but yeah, that's working. So that's with 8 down. If I press 7, we should see it. You see it skipping away like crazy. Go back to 8, and after a little bit of locking, it gets there. But yeah, so let's try 1700 cassettes. I mean, this is the big thing. These tapes now are just getting so old, and they're not the best. I mean, having the slant on the cassette, it's just asking for trouble, really. You know, you get any sort of torque issues with the cassette itself, because I had one where the brake was actually 2 separate brakes, one for each spool, and the peg has to go up through and release both of them. And I had one where the one brake was jammed on. That didn't end well. So yeah, and that is actually that post there, which is actually, it does move slightly, so to sort of guarantee that it will go through. But now it for some reason it something went wrong with the brake. So. Put it to 7. Well, it doesn't matter, just anything will do. All this tape is not great. Oh, they've got a head clog on it. Yeah, I've got a head clog. I've found that with this tape. It's a bit cloggy. Let's just try rewinding it. Whoop. Don't know why I've noticed that before with this cassette. It triggers stop in rewind, but there's no foil, because it detects foil. So I don't know. Maybe there's nothing on that bit of tape, which is highly probable actually. So I'll wound this on. Oh yeah, I played it to near the end. Oh, in fact, that's probably what it is. There we go. At the moment that's running slow. Oh, okay. Oh, this must be M50. This is M1500. I get so confused. Oh, that's not. I don't know what that is. It's almost like it's got different formats on it. This is what threw me with this cassette. I think it's got different formats on it because I've put N1700 on it, but that was obviously M1500. I'm going to wind this right the way back to the beginning, and we'll have a look. Okay, well, it doesn't like switching between the speeds with it on. It really confuses things. I mean, this is actually on the tape, the head switching, but yeah, it's that's 1700, and yeah, that's playing well. Like I say, it's got the head switching line at the bottom, but that's on the tape. So yeah, but all of these tapes have pretty much had it. You know, they're just so worn out, and I will make a test tape, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, we've succeeded. What crumbs, what a journey. So I'm going to do a load more on this this format, Philips VCR. There's so much, it's just, I really enjoy these machines, and I know I've got a lot to learn on them. So any tips and tricks, if you used to work on these back in the day, I have done a few over the years, but it's just been more sort of getting them going and later on playing with them a bit, but I've never actually gone really in depth. We've also got those boards, the AV outboards from Conan from Video 99, so I'll be making up one of those. We've got one of the Wood Effect 1700 ones, which I want to put one of those in actually, so that'll be coming up. But yeah, and we have a sort of working clock as well, which is great. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this one. Certainly a bit varied, and really wasn't anticipating having to totally swap machines. But like I say, we'll look at that other machine. Yeah, see how you get on with this. So you're taking out the 620k ohm resistor out the board, and that's your N1700, and then the 1.4 meg is your N1500. So yeah, there you go. But obviously at your own risk, have fun, and don't pop the chip. So with that, thank you very much for watching. A like and subscribe would be absolutely fantastic. It means so much to me and really helps the channel, and motivates me to make more. So yes, hopefully see you in another video. Bye for now.